Welcome to Specific Love. Here recently I made a porch swing out of nothing but pallet wood and had a number of you ask me what I knew about pallets. So let's talk about pallets. Now of course when I'm talking about pallet wood I do have to have a disclaimer. I am not an expert. This is just information I've picked up over time. So of course use pallet wood at your own risk. Now the first thing I'll look out for in pallets is an IPPC stamp. That is an International Plant Protection Convention, requires this stamp, and it shows not only that it has been heat treated, it shows what country it's coming from and potentially the country that either built the pallet or who is using it. So make sure that it has that stamp. Now for the most part, these stamps are usually uniform in shape, but I have seen some variants of it. Here's one that is actually pretty wide here. It's still a rectangle, but it's extra wide and still has the information usually in the smaller piece, but it's just in a longer format. Now one of the important things you need to look out for in the actual rectangle is certain letters. And that could be, I wrote these down so I don't forget them, is HT, could be DB, it could be KD, or it could be MB. Now the HT is just heat treated. That means the wood has been brought up to a certain temperature to help kill the insects and bugs that might be inside of it, because you don't want those to transfer from state to state or even from country to country. Now also it could be DB, which is just debarked. That is a common practice now with a lot of pallets today, is most of them have been debarked, just the bark has been removed. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. Another one is KD, which is kiln dried. It's kind of the same thing as heat treating it, except it's in a large kiln and it just heats it up to the temperature. The one though you need to look out for is MB. It is methyl bromide. It's actually a toxic chemical put onto the wood to kill the insects. Instead of heating it up, they actually use a chemical to kill it. So if you see MB on there, be very careful, don't use it. Now in the process of finding pallets, of course you're gonna find pallets with other different logos and insignias and stuff on them. For example, if you get some from Europe, sometimes they'll have ones with an EPAL or EUR. Now, I've been told that the EUR is the old system, and it's probably a good idea to avoid those because they're not as regulated as the new ones are. But the ones that they have EPAL, they're supposed to be good and only heat treated. So of course, if you find any other logos or stamps on your pallets, check it, look it up, Google it, do something to find out exactly what it means, just to be safe and you're not accidentally getting something that's going to be bad for you. Now there's definitely one stamp you need to look out for. It uses the letter CP and sometimes a number right after. These are made for the chemical industry, and definitely if it's going to be having chemicals on top of your pallet, there's a very good chance that some of those probably seeped into the wood and you don't want to use them. So if it says CP, look out for them, don't use them. Next up, we're talking about the colors of some of the pallets. In this case, it's a little bit hard to see, but this one is a red painted pallet, or a piece of wood that came off one anyway. Sometimes you'll find pallets in blue, sometimes you'll find it in brown. In any case, these are rental pallets that large companies have specifically painted so they know it's their color. Now, they rent these pallets out and they could be used for anything. They could be going across the world, so you don't know which countries they've been in. You don't know exactly what's been on them. It could be simple as groceries. But then again, it could have chemicals, it could have concrete, or it could have any other potentially dangerous item shipped on it and we don't know about it. So if you're gonna look at the color palettes, I probably wouldn't recommend it for you. Because one, you don't know what's been on it, and two, well, to get all that color and stuff off can be a challenge. One more word of caution when it's coming from another country. For example, this right here has the IPPC stamp on it, and it says GB, so I believe it's Great Britain, or it's at least from the Europe area. Europe is really similar to the United States when it comes to regulations on their pallets, so I'm not concerned about this one. But there is a good chance that the other pallets, or even this one for that matter, may have been shipped around to other countries and it has possibly been sprayed with some kind of a toxic chemical. So just always keep that in mind, specifically if it's coming from other countries, to know exactly where its origin is, so, well, there's less chance of you getting poisoned. Now if by chance you have a pallet and you cannot find an IPPC stamp anywhere on it, sometimes it's okay to use, sometimes it's not. In my case, I prefer not to use them. Now when we're talking about pallets, I definitely have to bring up sizes. There is a variety of sizes. I mean, you can go from huge pallets to small pallets, and as you can see here, these are completely different sized pallets. Now keep in mind that some pallets are built for specific tool shipments and some are just generalized. So my suggestion would be just carry a measuring tape whenever you're looking for pallets so you know you can get the size you want. Now we need to look at what are the pallets made out of. Yes, of course wood, but I mean softwood or hardwood. Most pallets you'll find, at least in my area, are made out of softwoods, and I believe that's just because they're easier to find and they're cheaper to make and probably just cheaper to buy, and so companies would prefer to use these. On occasion though, I will find a hardwood pallet. Now, the softwood pallets, they can work great for a lot of your projects, but if you find a hardwood pallet, jackpot. You can make a nice heavy duty item and you don't have to worry about it being soft and brittle, kind of like some of these are. Now with all of this information provided, where would be good places to actually buy or grab some of your pallets from? Of course, always get permission from the companies you're getting it from, but I'd go look at possibly like feed stores or pet stores, lawn equipment stores, motorcycle stores, ones where they have large shipments come in on pallets, and then they have the pallets just sitting out back and they're probably just trying to get rid of them. So if you go up and you ask them, there's a good chance that a lot of them will probably happily give them to you or sell them to you relatively cheap. Now, going that route, there's a good chance that your pallets that you'll find with them will be nice and clean and you don't have to worry so much about them being toxic. Also, try and look for the ones that are clean. I prefer the ones I don't have to do a ton of work to. If they require a little bit of sanding, oh well. But if they're already relatively clean, there's a good chance they haven't been contaminated with much or anything. Now I know this is a lot of information to remember, but that's okay. Just look it up as you go and you should be at least somewhat on the safe side. Now if you do happen to find some awesome pallets and you're still not 100% sure if they're safe, use them in outdoor projects. For example, the swing that's behind me. It's also good practice to avoid using pallets with direct food contact or with plants that are growing food, just to be safe. And of course, if you're using the pallets outdoors, make sure to have a good sealant on them. That'll do two things. One, it's gonna protect them from the elements, and it's gonna protect any chance of any chemicals that might try and seep out of the wood onto your skin. And like I said at the beginning of the video, use pallets at your own risk because you don't know what the previous owner might have done. They may have misused or even abused them. Now, if you're looking for some additional information on pallets, I'd suggest going to a specific website at 1001pallets.com or 1001pallets.com. I am not affiliated with this website or company. I'm not sponsored by them. It's just a really good resource that takes a lot of the information I'm giving you and digs a lot deeper into it. They also have a lot of other ideas for DIY projects, so check them out. Otherwise, get out in your shop and have fun building. A number of you asked me what, international plan, was blah, blah, blah. Rectangle, table, wow. Avoid using contact. These pallets, DVD,